Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Report. I'm Jarret Johnson, and before I get started, I just want to say, hey, I hope everyone's staying safe out there. There's a lot going on, both socially, of course, with a lot of the protests, and then COVID-19 in Texas and throughout the country, in different parts of the world. There's been a spike. I don't want to get political on either issue. I just want to say I hope everyone's staying safe out there. Everyone who's watching this, and of course Texas Tech fans and inside the Red Raiders subscribers. I hope you and your family are safe and doing well. But hey, I like to give good news in these reports. There's not a lot of good news necessarily going around right now, but I have some good Texas Tech news, football news. One of my favorite parts of the recruiting cycle is the final part of it in terms of recruiting, because then it turns into development, is move-in day. And just like almost everything else right now, the coronavirus pandemic, the COVID-19, and the response to it has really just fragmented everything. Normally, the bulk of your recruiting class, all your new additions, whether it be junior college guys, even grad transfers that aren't early enrollees, they come in basically in the same weekend or two normally. Now this summer you've had some guys that have come in that have been on campus for 3 weeks, maybe even almost a month, and then you've had now you have guys. A big bulk of your high school 2020 signing class is moving into Texas Tech this weekend. So I'm going to try and break it down for you. This was actually a mailbag question. It was a mailbag question from Blake65. But, I felt like there's enough meat on the bone and there's so much to go over that this was good enough for its own video, its own story. So let's jump right into, move-in weekend and just where the roster is. All right, so first off, before we get into, this weekend or this summer, the last couple of weeks, the early enrollees, the guys that were here in the spring, the new additions these are scholarship guys. All of this is scholarship guys, not walk-ons, but who are coming back. I want to go over them. There's only one high school guy who was an early enrollee, wide receiver Jalen Polk, three-star guy out of Lufkin. He was actually a four-star guy at one point. But he looked really good. He put on significant weight in the spring. I heard he's kept that on. He's back on campus, and I'm expecting big things at some point. Maybe not this season, but maybe so, from Jalen Polk. He's also, by the way, cousins to one of your top 2021 targets, running back Caleb Berry, also from Lufkin. So, that's one of the big pulls for Caleb Berry to Texas Tech is his cousin, who he told me he's really tight with, Jalen Polk, who's recruiting him to Texas Tech really hard. All right, another guy I want to mention is linebacker Brandon Randall. He's actually a grad transfer from Michigan State. He was an Army All-American. By the time he signed, he was a 3-star. 24/7 had him rated as a 3-star transfer as well. But he was a little banged up in spring ball, but he's going to start off at least as kind of an edge rusher. Probably play the Raider position, and I can't wait to see him go full contact and see what he brings, to the table. Another guy I'm also really excited about, and he's going to have a huge impact next year. He's a junior college All-American inside linebacker, Krishan Merriweather. All-American name, All-American run stopper there. He could really run. He did a flip, like a backflip actually, in full pads and helmet and everything on campus. That was pretty interesting to see, and he could, like I said, he could really run. He's the sideline type, and he's going to be playing the position vacated by All-American Jordan Brooks, who of course won the first round of Seattle. So big shoes to fill, but he was looking good in the spring, and I expect him to have a good year right off the bat next year. And Krishan Merriweather. Another guy I want to mention is another junior college guy, offensive lineman Ethan Card, a 3-star from Coffeyville Community College. The guy's 6'8", 325 pounds. All right? He has a ways to go in terms of speed of the game, but he has 3 years of eligibility remaining. He was a full qualifier, so that helps. And he's huge. So I also heard he's a pretty good golfer. It's a sight to see a 6'8", 325 pound guy swing a golf club and actually keep it in the fairway. So that gives you an idea of his athleticism. All right, last early enrollee guy I want to mention is Devin Drew, a defensive lineman out of Iowa Western. I think he's a depth guy initially, but then I think the next year maybe make a big push as a senior. And Devin Drew, somebody you really needed for depth. All those guys back at Texas Tech are going to play at least some role next year. And boy, with the way coronavirus is going, COVID, and all these guys getting positive, and they have to have 14-day quarantines. So there's going to be depth's going to be as important as ever in college football next year, assuming the season's played, which I think it will be in some form or fashion. So these guys, like a guy like Devin Drew, who may not have normal seasons seen the field, may end up like one day starting for you because of just normal attrition, but then because of this coronavirus deal. All right, so that's out of the way. Guys that actually have gotten to campus, who have signed since the spring and have moved in on campus, starting with some junior college transfers. One is tight end Jason Lloyd, a 3-star out of the College of San Mateo. I've really enjoyed interviewing him, talking with him. He's very excited about the opportunity to play tight end in offensive coordinator David Yost's system. And he's another guy who was a full qualifier who has 3 years of eligibility to remain. All right, safety Cameron White. 3-star safety, boy, we'll talk about position of need. Out of Northwest Mississippi State. He's on campus. All these guys, these junior college guys, have been on campus for weeks now, actually, that I've been able to confirm. But I like Cameron White, as much as you can, basically, from watching his huddle from junior college. Like I said, big position of need. Quarterback Cameron Watts, another big position of need from Northeast Oklahoma. A&M, NEO, how I always read it and think about it. But he's been on campus for weeks, 3-star cornerback. I look forward to seeing him, and hopefully seeing him in fall camp, and seeing what they have in him. All right, the only junior college guy I haven't confirmed with is Josh Davies. Now that doesn't mean he's not coming. That doesn't mean he's not going to be here. That he's not already on campus necessarily, but I've heard he's not yet, but that he will be. So just keep that in mind. And all these guys, by the way, that I've confirmed with, that I'm saying that are on campus, I've confirmed with them personally, or that they're moving onto campus, or a coach, or this isn't conjecture. I've confirmed with either them, like their parents, or a coach. So you can take it to the bank. Now moving on to grad transfers. Josh Berger, the offensive lineman, coming in. I think he's going to play right tackle. He's making a big step up in competition from Wolford, FCS level. But man, this guy was an All-American wrestler in high school. He was a 3-year, I believe 2 or 3 year starter at Wolford. He played a lot, anyways. They need a guy to step in and be able to take over that right tackle position. A veteran, grown man, and I think. Josh Berger is your guy for that. All right, another guy who, man, this is huge. Chadarius Townsend, running back transfer from Alabama, who committed to the Red Raiders just recently. He's moving in this week. 6 foot, 195 pound. I expect him to compete for carries immediately as soon as he gets on campus. All right, moving on to high school recruits, and that's really the bulk of the meat of what this story should be about. Is I've confirmed personally with each one of these high school recruits, guys I've been interviewing and talking with for years now. It's finally move-in day. They're moving into Texas Tech, and I've confirmed with them just leading up to the filming of this video on Friday. And all right, so I'm going to start off with this. There was a lot up in the air about whether he was going to get his final test score. He did. Defensive lineman Philip Bleedeye, 3-star defensive lineman out of Portales, New Mexico, helped them to a state title this last year. I don't know if you watched any of his film. He is just a monster. I mean, what he did to some of those kids in New Mexico, could have been criminal if it wasn't. It would have been criminal if it wasn't on the gridiron. Man, 4-star wide receiver, Loic Fonji, out of Midland Lee, of course, broke basically all the single game, season, and career receiving records at Midland Lee. 6'5", but can really run, man. So, he chose Tech over schools like UT and Baylor. Oklahoma was at least looking at him. So he's moving in this weekend, and that's really exciting. He's excited. He was actually, in talking with him, he's really excited about moving in, and it's really fun to see that. Running back Taj Brooks, a guy I expect to to play immediately. Actually, Coach Wells has gone on record saying he's going to play immediately. He's a guy who ran for over 4,000 yards in his career at Manor. He's like 5'10", about 215 pounds. He could scoot, though. He's a bell cow, as I like to refer to it, kind of back guy you can give the ball 20 times a game to if need be. Or 20 touches anyways. So I like Taj Brooks. I think he's probably the best running back in terms of in recruiting that you've recruited in some time. All right, moving right along, staying on offense is kind of inside receiver, all-purpose back Miles Price out of the Colony. He was a guy's 3-star, 4-star, right on that border. One-time Oklahoma State commit. Infamously, when he visited Texas Tech, Mike Gundy dropped him, and one of the reporters that covers their site kind of wrote this, I don't know, really awkward piece talking about how Miles Price shouldn't have visited Tech and all this. Well, Oklahoma State's loss is Tech's gain. He's moving in this weekend. He's also excited about it. All right, LB Moore, kind of guy who, speaking of Oklahoma State, who from Amarillo, Tascosa, just a beast coming off the edge. He's going to play probably like a Raider position, but he can play defensive end too. I mean, this guy is just kind of like, I don't know, West Texas strong, country strong. But like I said, from Amarillo, Tascosa, those kind of guys in the past have gone to Oklahoma State and kicked Tech's butt. So it's nice to get one of those guys in Lubbock, moving in to Tech this weekend. He actually direct messaged me. That's how he told me he was moving in this weekend, and it was like, I don't know how many exclamation marks, but LB Moore is really excited about moving in. Speaking of being excited, another linebacker, Derek Lewis, man, from Church Clements, and this guy is another sideline to sideline kind of guy that Keith Patterson covets. He was really he was either their first option or their second option, and the entire class in Texas on their board. Like, they wanted Derek Lewis. And tight end John Holcomb from Wellington. I always say local, but it's way up in the Panhandle. But he confirmed he's moving in this weekend. That guy is the definition of country strong, kind of cowboy kind of dude. Quiet guy. Doesn't really like to do a lot of interviews, but he's nice enough to confirm things, but he's not really big on interviews. He's a Lubbock kind of guy. I think everybody will like him. Hard-nosed guy. He's big and he can run too. That helps. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops in the program and when he really sees the field, makes a big impact for Texas Tech. Another guy I want to mention, of course, is the quarterback, Donovan Smith. Now, he's moving in, but I mean, the guy was already pretty much moved in when you consider, of course, he led Friendship, local, Friendship High School back to the playoffs this last year, in his 1 year leading them at quarterback. Fantastic season. I saw a couple of his games last year, including the 4 overtime just instant classic against Cooper. That was amazing. And he was a hero in that game. 6'4", cannon for an arm, very elusive. Doesn't have top end crazy. We're not talking about Michael Vick type speed, but fast enough and very elusive, wiry type dude in a 6'4" frame with a cannon for an arm. So of course his dad, DeAndre Smith, is the running backs coach. So he's very, very familiar with the program, but he's on campus. A couple offensive linemen who both confirmed with me they're moving in this weekend. Larry Moore out of Fort Bend Marshall, and then Caleb Rogers out of Mansfield Lake Ridge. Both those offensive linemen confirmed they're moving in this weekend, so that's good to see. And last but not least, Kobe Minor, a safety out of Lake Dallas, has already moved in. He's on campus. So a great weekend, moving weekend. It's the finalization of the recruiting cycle. It truly is. When they actually get on campus, moved in, then it's like, okay, I think even the most hardened guy against recruiting is like, okay, I can start getting excited about this kid who he is a Red Raider. He's going to be going to class. He's moved in on campus, and so let's see what he's got. Can't wait to see once they put the pads on in fall camp. Hopefully we'll be able to be at some of that. I don't know. But at the very least in the games, we'll get to see these guys play and see where they fit into the Red Raider program. But